Hey everyone, it's Stephanie from Little Cookie Co. I get a lot of questions on my videos, so I thought I'd try to answer some of them in this video here. Let's get right into it. One of the most common questions I get is, why do I put a squiggly line in some of the areas that I'm flooding? Well, the biggest reason is to prevent craters. So here in the stem of the pumpkin, you can see I have a crater at the base there. It's a pretty big one, and it's very common in small areas that the icing collapses on itself, so it makes this indent, or it even becomes like a hole sometimes. Even if we try to prevent them, if my icing sometimes is just not right, it happens and it's okay. So I'll show you a quick, easy fix if they really bother you and you want to fix them. So you can take your flood icing. You want flood because you want it to smooth out nicely, and just fill in the hole or the divot a little bit. And I prefer to use my finger and just rub across very gently and just fill the hole and try to even it out with the rest of the icing. Now, if you don't feel comfortable using your finger, you can also use a paintbrush, a slightly damp paintbrush, and just kind of gently go over that area and try to blend it in as much as possible. It's not a perfect fix, but it does look better, I think, than a crater sometimes. It depends. Sometimes you have small craters, they're not so noticeable. I've had cookies when I first started that had, huge holes. So this was a great fix. It didn't look as bad. I'd rather have, a little icing there rather than a huge hole. I get asked a lot as well if I use two consistencies. And if you listen to most of my videos, I tried to tell you that when I'm using my outline and when I'm using my flood. And so an outline is basically a thicker icing that holds in your flood. I like to outline my cookies in a thicker icing because it gives me nice sharp edges or clean edges. And sometimes your consistencies aren't perfect. So if my flood is really loose, then I will not flood the whole cookie. So sometimes I leave a little bit of gap space when I'm flooding, and that's kind of on purpose because I've done so many cookies that the flood has gone over the side of the edge. And so when I feel like my flood is too loose and I'm too lazy to remix it and, add a little bit of powdered sugar to thicken it up, I will actually just flood less and spread out my flood just a bit, just enough so that I still have a nice coverage, but I'm not over flooding that cookie. So if you find that you're flooding cookies and they're just dripping over the sides of your edges, then try to flood a little bit less or leave a few gaps between the circles that you're flooding in, and spread that icing just a tad thinner. These are things that you kind of learn as you go and make a lot of mistakes making cookies, but if I can prevent you some frustration, it's all about working with what you have and, knowing how much pressure. If it's you're over flooding, put a little bit of pressure and spread that icing out, and, then you won't have to go and remix your icing and you can make it work. Hopefully these tips help you out a little bit when you're decorating your cookies. And if you have any questions, as always, let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Happy decorating.